Oh, I am a little off-centered. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Matt K.
Hi.
Mod Kieran.
Yo.
Mod Merchant.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Arch.
From here.
Imagine that through the mic. All right, before we get anywhere, kind of a big deal today. We just put out the big poll, one of our biggest polls ever. Raids Rewards poll. Dragon Claw's in there. It's a very tough battle. Not going to spoil anything. If you haven't voted, go vote. Head to a poll booth in game. We'll have a couple questions in here about the Raids Rewards, but for the time being, let's just hop right into it. So first one says, with Hardcore Iron Man, will the Western Province Diary Reward be disabled? That is the daily redemption if you die at Zolva.
I doubt it. I don't see why we'd want to disable like an actual diary reward.
The rule is meant to be about when, well, proper deaths versus safe deaths.
Yep.
And that thing that the diary undoes is not a proper death.
Yeah, it prevents you from dying. So I think it's...
I mean, technically we've called it resurrection, then
Yeah.
You have to be slightly dead, but I suppose it's like if you're clinically dead but they get you back with the paddles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you wake up on the table and you go, am I still a hardcore Iron Man? And the paramedic's just like, yeah, you're fine.
And it's like, there's that few at 200 joules, but it doesn't work. And then they go up to 360 and do it again and it works. That's what sort of what it's like.
Anyway, so as a hardcore Iron Man, don't walk into the light.
We give them the I don't know, safe death or whatever it is with Jad, right? They can die and come back to life and continue the cave with one of those rewards.
Yeah, and also Jad's a safe death anyway, so...
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can die in the fight against the Jad all you like, because what we classify as a dangerous death is when you actually lose your items.
Which somebody was asking me earlier on Twitter about raids in this regard. In raids, since when you die in there, the stuff you brought in with you, like proper items, your AGS and whatever, those stay with you. They do not fall to the floor. So we wouldn't count that either.
Mm. I'm feeling extra Canadian today to the guy asking. It's also cold, so...
Wow.
There
Is
you
it
go.
Canada Day or something?
No, it's not.
Canada Labour Day or...
I think Mod Rock just
That thing.
mentioned
I don't
Hardcore
know.
Iron Man
Is
won't be able
Canada
to...
Labour Day a thing? Sorry.
What?
Is Canada Labour Day a thing? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't think
No,
so.
but they have maple syrup.
We do have
there.
Canada Day,
Fake
You have
Canadian.
Canada Day
So
in
it's like-
Canada.
obviously.
When's
Where else
that?
would Canada Day be?
Yeah, but why do you have Canada Day? Isn't every day Canada Day?
Don't you have a hockey team called something Canadians? Like,
The Maple Syrup Day, Tim Hortons Day.
Who's Tim Horton?
It's a really popular coffee brand.
Is
Well,
it?
a coffee shop place.
Oh, okay.
It's like a cost of a better.
So what
Don't
day is
get-
Canada Day?
I don't know. It's like August.
I think we've
something
come to the
or-
conclusion here that Chris is a
I've
fake
been here
Canadian.
for like 2 years now, so I've just abandoned all
He's
ties.
forgotten what Canada is.
Yeah. July 1st, close enough. Okay, what was I saying? Hardcore Iron Man won't be able to access Last Man Standing. I just learned that. If that's confirmed.
to
with
all
casual
intents
as
and
well.
purposes, when you die in Last Man Standing, it basically is a dangerous death. You drop your items, however we stop you from taking any items you want to lose in there. You only drop Last Man Standing items.
Right. All right, moving on. Karkani says, can the teleport crystal that brings you to Lechia stay in the same inventory spot after use?
That's pretty
I like
good.
that kind of behaviour.
Me too.
Nailed the
That
pronunciation.
seems like a good change to me.
Actually, they went and changed it for herbs back in about 06 when farming came out, so that when you clean identify a herb, it stayed in the same slot and you had to move your mouse over all the slots in your inventory, whereas previously you'd be able to just click on the final one.
Yes.
I'm not sure why the developer changed that, but
It's nice though.
I'm sure that was big loss to when you could just spam click the right bottom of your inventory.
indeed. But anyway, so for this crystal, yeah, sure, we can do that kind of thing.
All right, nice one. For the record, guys, if you have a question, go ahead and post in the chat. ModRock will be grabbing them and we'll be answering them throughout the stream. Next question. Toucan says, can the left-click option on spirit trees be travel instead of talk to?
Sensible as
That
well.
would be nice, yeah.
Easy escape. That's
Easy.
pathetic.
Convenience case.
Saves a click.
Why don't we just remove the talk to option? There is no earthly reason you'd want it other than to say, can I
Is
travel?
it not
please?
part of a quest
Immersion.
somewhere?
Yeah.
That's the quest that unlocks the ability to travel.
Okay, so once you've unlocked the quest, it gets rid of the talk to stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Every time we say no to something, we get called lazy. Then they're asking us to change this right-click option. Put some effort in. But in all seriousness, yeah.
Beatrix says, can you make the loot broadcast work for untradeable drops like ancient shards and totem pieces?
It does actually. If you've since they've got a nominal value for the shards and totems, it's like 4.5k. Not yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at Kieran because he looked it up earlier.
Really? That's all right. I was gonna
Six
say,
and
I
a
don't know
half,
why you would
six and a half
look
k for the totems and 4.5k for the shards, I believe.
Yeah. So if you've got a threshold that will trigger that, then you'll get your notification. It is, of course, not maybe as high as you'd like it to be. We can totally change it. And the same goes, by the way, for clue scrolls. Now, the thing about clue scrolls is that they've got a nominal value as well, but it's only 50. We can raise that so that they're more likely to be triggered by your loot notifications. Are they triggered? But if we do that, then it also affects the priority of things being kept on death, which you might be okay with, or you might not. So we haven't just blindly gone out and done it, but we can. Alternatively, we could add some exceptions so that clue scrolls and these shards and totem bits are automatically broadcast regardless of your setting, as long as you've got it turned on at all. Just bear in mind, we're not going to be able to add a toggle for every single possible item that you might want to force an override for in this way, because that would make the menu really rather long, since there's a lot of items in the game.
How many items are in the game?
I looked it up once. It's I think it was about 17,000 after we released placeholders.
Yeah, it was when we were doing placeholders.
It was less than I would have thought, actually.
And a lot of them are placeholders and banknotes.
Just save that for the data stream, really, shouldn't we? Never mind.
Yeah.
It'll change every week anyway, pretty much. We release new stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it went up by about 6 today.
For your interest, I think RS3 was about 50, 60,000.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why they can't use the same technique we did to do bank placeholders. Because for us, generating all the placeholder versions of items, well, it's another, 6,000, 7,000 items, but that's all right. We've got plenty more, another 40,000 space or so where that came from. RS3, if they went and did it, they'd hit the limit and go way beyond. So they'd have to do some very heavy engine work to be able to do bank placeholders. Which is why they weren't able to just copy our code.
Right. Hackin says, can we get a search player option in the clan chat settings? Would be easier to rank up people being in a big clan. So essentially, you have to scroll through everybody's name. It's not alphabetical. It can be tough to find someone's name.
Yeah, from our point of view, I think it would be a lot easier to give them a feature where it was alphabetical or sorted by world, whichever they chose, clicking the tops of the columns or whatever, rather than trying to add a sort of filter feature like the bank has. Because, well, for a start, it wouldn't even be in the same place. I think you have to type into is in the chat box and your chat channel is somewhere else. I'd rather go with the alphabetization option so you can sort it these
How are they
ways.
sorted currently? Or are they just not?
Magically out of the engine by whatever criteria floats its boat.
Fair enough.
All right.
I imagine there's some pattern behind it, but I've never gone looking in their code to find out, because I can't actually read their code.
Let's grab a question from the chat then. Kuvob says, will there be a TP method added for raids like we had Games of Necklace for Wintertod?
I imagine we'll give you something to let you get to the entrance. It is fairly far out of the way.
What I'd wanted to do was give them a dwarf minecart there, like the other ones across there. Having ensured, of course, that there is a dwarf minecart near a teleport spot. And there is one fairly near the centre of Kourend at the moment.
You made that thing fairly expandable.
I've made it pretty
you're very much
expandable.
like to use it. So.
Yes, it's a cache sync.
That'd be cool.
I mean, it's not as convenient as just being able to rub your whatever and go where you want to, but on the other hand, if you pay for the infinite uses, you get the infinite uses for no further costs.
Mod West does have the full map planned out to all the way to Mount Quidamortem for raids, and it is looking very cool.
Yeah. Right. Seven says, can we get more tree spots? Currently,
What?
Calquat.
Calquat. Said
Tree spots.
Calcat, I don't know.
Calgat.
Currently there's only one and the seeds are worthless. Perhaps a new potion with them? I'm going to say this potion with a disclaimer.
That's awkward.
You can think
Nothing. Carry on.
I don't know what he's talking about either. Can't carry press.
What?
It's to do with raids. It's an in-joke.
Oh.
Thank God. All right. Where am I now? Okay, so his potion idea. Untradeable spec restore potion that restores 25% spec. Can't be used in player versus player.
Oh.
How do you prevent it from being used in player versus player?
Can't be used in PvP worlds. Can't be used in the wilderness.
So you just
jump
hop the
But
ditch.
you just jump over the ditch, drink it, and jump in.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing as going to the
That's
duel
kind
arena
of
and getting
okay,
it back.
yeah.
Duel
But it
arena
prevents it from
spec
being a fight, right?
Yeah. So
Is
like
that-
you
does that
teleport to your
prevent it
house
from
and
being
use
an
the
issue?
pool. It takes like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's not saving you a ton. And assuming they would cost some money, it's just
So
the
in
fact that
terms
they're
of-
so controversial.
In terms of spec restore potions, I think they have a very good impact in PvM. They allow you to produce more specs at a certain point in a fight, allows you to spike your damage a bit more.
I would like to
In
have
PvP, that's a bit more controversial.
See, I would,
because it
I would
changes things
only have it
massively.
in PvP if you had some way of reducing somebody else's spec.
No.
So,
That-
see all of that look on your face.
That's
then.
a
That
pretty
was a thing, I didn't
fundamental
like it.
shit.
Everyone would hate
It's kind of like Vengeance, isn't it? Where you hope that they're going to hit something high, so it doubles back and hits them. It's kind of like the same sort of thing where you cast a spell on somebody, they lose their spec just as they hit their spec button.
We had, well, they had spec leech. I didn't like it. Personally.
I
But I don't
can't
think it'd
if,
be a
it's, if
problem
it
in
doesn't
PvP.
become an issue for PvP, I think there is a space for them one day, perhaps, if people want them.
Right?
A use for kumquat fruits would be nice. As it
Definitely.
is, you probably don't want them as, tubs to put beer in.
We don't even have them in the fruit baskets anymore, do we? Because nobody ate them. Oh, I'm thinking of kumquats.
Those are kumquats. If we got a kumquat in the fruit basket, we'd probably not. It would be in a fruit basket. It's the size of a fruit basket.
Well, it doesn't have to be the potion suggested with them. If you guys have any better ideas, go ahead. Next question. Larry says, ETA on raids beta worlds. Beta.
So, we should clarify something. What we're talking about for... Oh, I'm over here now, aren't I? What we're talking about for this preview is not a full beta where you get to try out the entire gameplay and preview everything and work out your strategies against the bosses so that when the full release comes, you can just rush in with all the stuff you've already tried and proven to be the best gear. What we're trying is some load testing so that, we'd like to see, can the system handle 100 people going into a dungeon all at once? We don't know for sure. There's, this many of us plus him. We'd like to borrow a load of you to see what happens if we have 2,000 people on a world running around all trying to do it at the same time. It's simply a matter of load testing. We would prefer not to reveal, the combat mechanics of all the creatures inside and let you try out all the tactics in complete safety before you go in there to actually spend your real time and eat your real food. So what we're offering is just a load test. I'm sorry if that wasn't clear. We will be using, a similar beta system to what we've had before to do it, but it will just be a load test to help us with the stability, like you did with Last Man Standing. If we'd, you may recall when we put that one out in a preview form, we had some trouble on launch day with it, overloading and not being able to take people into the games. And after a couple of iterations of that, we were able to launch Last Man Standing, and it no longer, crashed when lots of people turned up to go into it. It's not just Last Man Standing either. We had the same problem with Soul Wars, Duel tournaments. Pretty much every big minigame that wasn't Clan Wars over the history of RuneScape has had trouble on launch day. By borrowing you guys to do load testing for us, we get a much better chance of these things going properly when the full update comes. Anyway, that's enough on that. Over here again.
Speaking of Last Man Standing, something goes up tomorrow. I said last weekend, last Q&A, I said it was the past weekend, but I lied. It was
But it
this
is
weekend.
actually tomorrow.
It is actually tomorrow, 1 p.m. GMT, because we're not BST anymore for whatever reason. Just
Daylight
amazing.
savings time.
Yes,
I'm
it's
pretty
not
sure
summertime.
Canada also have daylight savings time.
Yes. I sent the tweet, and then I had to correct it, and I sent it again.
It coincides
So,
with Canada
anyways.
daylight.
The fun bit is that for American players, most of their daylight saving changes happen this weekend, whereas we happened last weekend, so we're kind of at a different time than usual for Americans.
A lot of people who haven't heard Merchant yet suddenly realizing.
Yeah, I know. It's always interesting. Always an interesting reaction.
All right, where
Can
are
you
we?
do the Big Brother voice?
The Big Brother voice. I know what the Big Brother voice sounds like.
Day 34.
Oh.
That one.
Dear 34. Probably terrible. I haven't watched Big Brother in about
It's
10
terrible.
years.
I haven't heard it.
Well, it was really good in that case.
Okay. All right, we have questions. Larry says, why weren't burnt pages included for Tome of Fire Exchange?
Do you have an answer?
What was the question, sorry?
Why weren't burnt pages included in giving in Tomes of Fire?
Me and myself and Maz discussed this, and we thought the value of burnt pages at the moment seems to be roughly where we expected them to be. So allowing to trade tomes for pages basically would crash the page market.
Okay.
There you go.
I think there's complaints for Iron Men saying it's basically just more difficult for them now.
Also, the crates that you can get are not the most valuable things, because if you don't hit a magic tree seed, then you quite possibly didn't want the rest of the stuff.
Right. Well, I guess we're going to the next question then. Samster says, can you remove timers from pest control or make it so people who actually participate are rewarded fairly?
As somebody who's just farmed their void, I'd quite like that.
Wait till you get it. Now we'll make it
Do you
better.
say remove timers?
That is what
So
he said,
basically,
yeah.
you know, at the moment the portals have shields on
Oh,
them.
the delay before the shield comes
Yeah,
down.
I think he means take those off, basically. Which
Does
is
he
how it was
remember?
back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, do you remember
Yeah.
what it was like back in
They-
that?
Oh,
They
yeah,
went
it was, the
so
XP
quickly.
was crazy.
Yes. You remember all the rants we ever saw about Nightmare Zone prods? It used to be about PC prods.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It wasn't about no computer either, it was pest control.
Yeah, I think, do we have better sources of XP now, though? Surely Nightmare Zone was still kind of outdated.
I don't know. Obviously, playing pest control requires a lot more human interaction, which probably would make a difference. But you know, the whole mechanic there was to try and find a world with all the good people and play as much as you could before everyone else turned up, and then all the good people would secretly go to another world, and you'd have to try and work out which one it was if you weren't elite enough to be part of their friendship circle.
Yeah, I remember they used to trade you and show you the amount of coins. That was the world. Then you go on there.
Yeah, I remember that.
That is some
It's
secret
like secret
spy
spy stuff.
Oh, I played back then too, and
Yeah.
did very nicely from it. But, yeah, we could bring all that back,
Cash
but
was
there was
the
a
secret
reason it was
spy.
taken out.
Yeah, and also at the minute you can play like 1 minute games if you get a proper group going. It's really not that hard. So, yeah,
In terms of preventing from people from just AFKing and leeching at the...
you
I would like...
it's so quick at the moment. Yeah, you can AFK it pretty easy.
It'd be nice to stop that somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. Victory Chant says, can we get some small quests added to Zeah? I think this was the top comment of the thread this week.
Some small quest.
So he says, on the level of Cook's assistant, there we are, or that of the Halloween event, which they didn't like apparently. Well, as a quest, I should say, they loved the event. Says no new assets would need to be created for some simple fetch quests with minimal rewards.
What would be the benefit of a fetch quest with minimal rewards?
Okay.
That sort of answers that
It would have been a
question.
nice thing to put like the house hoods in or something from, but they're in treasure trails now. If there's something else we could do like that was purely like to show off a token of a house, that would be a nice thing to get from them. They wouldn't even have to be quests like, I can't remember the names of them, but you know we have like sort of mini quests, like follow-ups, like the Family Crest one, stuff like that. Which
I
is,
like the kind of gameplay.
yeah, me too.
If it was to introduce an actual thing that was wanted, like the Family Crest thing was, then certainly we can go about doing it that way. After all, when we added, what's the name, Beloga with the Zamarakian grapes, we made you talk to her and have certain requirements to unlock it. We could at that point have also made you fetch and carry some stuff for her rather than just giving her a pile of cash to get the gold out of the game and to help her buy a house. That's what she's into.
What I like smaller quests for, no, maybe not down at the scale of Crook's Assistant, not just a fetch quest, something that has a little bit of a storyline, involves a few things, maybe a small puzzle, but they're very good for just fleshing out an area and giving something a reason for being there and giving you stories to explore that aren't just in a book.
It works for that, although if you consider how many people ever use the Keldgrim ones, or indeed the Wise Old Man, where they send you fetching and carrying stuff all over the place. In the case of Keldgrim, I think they even might have a time limit for you. It didn't turn out to bring that much traffic to the area for the dev time involved in making it.
Yeah.
think
But
you're-
if we were introducing a new one-off feature, again like below good, then we could certainly do it via mini quests of this nature instead.
That'd be cool.
Kieran and I were talking about this earlier, I think, mentioning how, like, you go through Artie and then you see a building that you might not interact with anymore, but you remember you have a memory with it because you did a quest that involved it, even just for, a short period of time or something. And then in Zeah, you don't really get that feeling because there's obviously, there aren't those quests there. So it's probably more just that, I think. But yeah, as you're saying, you have to really
Yeah,
gauge if
but
that's
I
worth
mean,
your time.
the other thing is that obviously you have to understand that Artie's existed for a long time. There might be 10, 15 quests that all come into Artie and out of Artie, and Zeah doesn't have that. It's new, and I'm sure one day there will be quests that go through Corrend. There's no doubt
yes.
about that.
There's so much story there we look forward to telling.
Yeah.
We're revealing quite a bit of it with the release of Raids. John's been working on that, writing the stories, adding the new places to explore to find these stories, etc. It'd be good to get more of it out there, but there's a lot more as well.
But to me, I mean, a quest only needs one small little thing as a reward that makes you remember it and makes it significant and makes you want to complete it. Like even Fairy Tale Part 1, you get the magic secateurs, which improve your farming herb laws and farming for herbs.
Yeah, I really like stuff like that and the Holy Wrench and stuff like that.
And
It's
Ghost
just
of
nice little
High,
things.
Ghost of High, you get the ectophile and access. I believe the town came out with the quest.
Yeah, it did.
You have access to it beforehand, though, I believe.
You do.
But yeah, you get the ectophile, which is a nice little teleport item and allows you to train prayer faster there. You get monkfish from Swan Song. One little thing can make a big difference in terms of allowing you to want to complete something.
It is certainly true that taking away those one little things would make those quests pretty lame.
Yeah, like getting
Although
20 coins
just-
or whatever. that's-
Just sticking in a
Build
quick
basically
little
like
quest
couple of
like that was, as I recall it, being more like 6 weeks' work when he
Yeah.
actually wrote those little quests.
Some people genuinely
Ghost of High
do
is
just
a
enjoy
large
questing, though, right? I mean,
Some people like story.
yeah. And then obviously we have to account for a lot of players who don't like questing or story. So, anyways, we're going to grab a couple of questions from the chat. I think I saw one asking about there it is, the wand in the mall. The Elder Wand in Mall, are they going to still come from raids?
They passed their poll weeks ago, didn't they?
Yep.
What we're polling now is more stuff to go with them.
All right. And then asking about the requirements. I guess it's been a while.
There's no minimum stats to get in there, and we were not planning to require you to be, massively high favour in Courant either. However, if you go in there and you've got no stats, you may turn out to be of no use to anybody.
Maybe something to distract the bosses. Get in there.
If you go in there with 10 hit points and try to distract the boss, it may well distract the boss for a little while. Actually, the room I was showing you guys this morning, you go in there with 10 hit points, you can actually try and achieve something, but yeah. But we're not going to prevent you from going in there as a level 3 pure or whatever, and for you, if you've got skills like mining, whatever, you may well find you are useful to your team.
The requirements are very much for you in your skill level as a player, rather than anything about your character.
All right. Time for my favorite segment of the Q&A, the Ballista talk. So Lugarius has a suggestion here saying, can we pull these changes to the light and heavy Ballista? I'm going to go quickly through his idea. So essentially he's saying the light Ballista should be for pure accounts, lower level accounts. The heavy Ballista should be for mains or higher defense accounts. So in addition, with the heavy Ballista requiring 60 defense, it was also to come with better stats, higher accuracy, I believe, and requirement of Monkey Madness 2 to use. What?
I think carry on, Doctor.
Distracting. The light Ballista having no requirements, just 65 range, and that'd be used by peers, and it'd be the same thing, but a little bit weaker. That's the idea, basically, so to separate the two. To put my... What is so funny?
Nothing. Continue.
I hate this.
You're the expert. Continue.
To put my I've been talking about the Ballista for like the whole past week, and
Go on,
I hate
I
it.
remember that.
Yeah, they
Carry on.
Yeah, keep going. We're not going to stop you. It's your time. Go
Well,
on.
thank you. No pressure. What? Okay. You know what? You just, I'm like lost now. I'm going to take this seriously because I have to. The Ballista, in case you
It's
guys
his
didn't
job.
know, we removed the delay. Basically, that was causing the granite model was previously way too overpowered with it. We fixed that. However, that accidentally kind of nerfed it a little bit. So we were like, well, probably fix that. So we reduced the accuracy. People were saying, well, that's nerfed a little bit too harshly. So we brought it back up finally.
Do you think we have
I'm gonna-
fairly
Come on, you're a
close?
professional host. You should be able to continue during this.
I don't know what's happening.
Maybe we should give him his own close-up without me in it.
Let's not do that. Jeez, guys, come on. I'm gonna
You
skim
can
through
do it,
this
you
as
can do
quick
it,
as
come on.
possible. All right, my thoughts on this idea. Putting a defense requirement on the weapon seems odd. I don't know, have we done that with any other weapon? It's a weapon.
I don't remember us ever retroactively adding a defence requirement like that.
The bulwark was going to need one.
That's a good point, yeah. Monkey Minus 2 being all the way back in May to suddenly change the rewards so drastically seems very odd.
Plus, a little harsh on people who'd already got one with the stats to use it, who suddenly find now you can't.
There are many people who have built their accounts around this. I'm happy with where the Heavy Ballista is now. After today's change, we added another plus 10 accuracy to it. What else am I trying to say here? The Light Ballista, however, that still sucks. And
There's something weird going on out there.
Sorry, there's just a lot of screaming here.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
it is. Carry on. Maybe there's zombies out there eating them, wasn't it? Anyway, so the light ballista was,
On the
was
farthest
not
way.
very
It
good.
sucks. We need a
Yeah.
better idea to fix it. I don't think this should be it. That's all.
What we need to do is we need to go to somebody who's probably a professor of ballista science. If
Do we
anyone
have
knows anybody, we could
This
probably
is
come up
not
with an
just
idea.
a meme.
Do we have that guy's suggestion image? Do we have that in the end?
We don't have the image.
Okay. I'm guessing a lot of people here have seen the Reddit suggestion. Alright, yeah, we're going to
I
talk
saw
about
the thread. I didn't look at it.
that. Just trust,
explain.
just
I don't know
trust
if they could
Kristen.
hear the screaming. That was like
didn't hear
loud.
anything about
The
what
idea, the
Kristen
idea was
saying.
essentially, what was the idea? It was to convert the heavy ballista into a main-only weapon.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying, but
yes.
you guys were laughing.
Well, this was the bit where we were talking about whether one could add a defence requirement to it
Yeah.
after retroactively.
Has anyone built their account around getting a light ballista? All that light ballista
not
peers
like
at low
that.
end.
Well, the light
I'm saying
ballista
no,
without it.
actually.
The aim of this was to create that, essentially.
Okay.
Right. So the Light Ballista sucks. The only suggestion really that's come in is saying make it faster and weaker, but that is a crossbow. That is literally like the rune crossbow. So.
I think they're in an.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the light ballista needs a.
I'd be interested to know, would they accept us sticking a defence requirement on the thing at this stage? We know all the reasons why it may well not go down too well, but if they would accept it, then and we did it, then it would give us space to make the light ballista whatever the heavy one had been.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the idea.
The problem is the prices of the items, and players already own them, and that's where the issues come from.
There's a lot of support in the chat for that idea. I agree with the idea. I think it's nice. It's a bit of a major rewrite, but it does give it gives both weapons a spot, whereas at the moment one of them has a spot. So
Because the code is easy enough to do it if it weren't for that nasty effect on people who've got the thing.
yeah.
Of course, we'd telegraph the updates sometime in advance, panic sell, panic buy, whatever.
I think, yeah, this is deserving of a straw poll. I'm really curious now. So we're going to drop the straw poll in the chat, guys, momentarily.
So glad I
Again,
bought
to
60 light
recap,
ballistas.
without the giggles, the Heavy Ballista would be changed to have a 60 defense requirement. It would be basically for main accounts or higher defense level accounts. It'd have even higher accuracy. Let's just disregard that. Let's just say it has a high
I prefer
defense
the idea
requirement.
of sticking the heavy one behind the quest and the light one being basically what the heavy one is now,
That's-
but making
that's
the
what I'm
heavy one a bit better.
Yeah, that's one of the requirements on the.
Okay.
So
on the
it comes with a
proposed
60 defense requirement. The Heavy
And the
Ballista would
defense,
also need the Monkey
Yep.
Madness 2 requirement as a completion. Again, that's the highest requirement for any quest in our game. And the Light Ballista would have no requirements, just 65 range, and that would be used for the pure PKers. And all that.
Yeah, just literally, the difference between using something heavy and using something light could involve strength.
That's
It'd
true.
have no meaningful use in ranging, but we could have justified it.
It would limit it to main accounts fairly successfully.
What? Just having a.
Having strength instead of defense is a
Because
requirement.
it's heavy.
I'm
But
high
that's not
strength,
very
high.
normal.
Yeah, I know you're
With-
high strength. It's just, for Gmaul, people have high strength. So
Yeah,
pures would still.
That's like a lot of pure builds. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll get that straw poll in the chat. I'm really interested in this one. Let's move away from the Ballista for a minute before we come back
That's
to
been
those
like
results.
a 10-minute segment.
Yeah. Well, it was dragged
Dominating.
on.
Well, to be fair though, I mean, if we've got the experts in the building, to
I mean, it's
actually
really
deal
just
with
doing it with the
ballistas,
respect, isn't it?
then we just need to have an official qualification on ballistas,
Yeah.
and we'll be sorted.
They're memeing me.
Live memeing.
We're only halfway through and I've run out of tea.
All right,
nuts
5-minute
for
break,
us.
everyone.
All right, moving on. Rusp says, can you replace the lava dragons with red dragons in seasonal Deadman? Lava dragons are broken in the early game and makes clans way too strong.
Making the game have different NPCs on that island based on what mode it's in is not straightforward. We might be able to find a rather hacky way of pulling it off, I guess. Without the things vanishing unexpectedly halfway through you killing them, which is what would normally happen if you try and do it dynamically. But a few tricks I used to write the Kraken could probably be reapplied to this.
What makes lava dragons OP? Is it their bones and
You rush there, use the, yeah.
Could we
Could
cut
we
them
just
out of
nerf the
content
bones?
for
It's the best
first
thing to
few
do in the
weeks?
first 6 hours of playing, especially with the 6-hour protection. You just make bank and
we could nerf
get
the
prayer
bones
up.
and scale drops or whatever? Prevent them from dropping a dead man.
That's essentially just making them, well, not quite, but I
If
don't
they
know.
suddenly stop dropping lava dragon bones and drop dragon bones and stuff,
Yeah.
then we're essentially replacing them with red dragons without
That's
making
what
them
I'm
red
saying, yeah.
dragons.
Yeah, I mean, you see, I don't like editing the game world that much because it's just different game mode, but I think that's a small enough change and a good enough one that it might be warranted.
If it's an issue, I think
It's really good. Really, really good.
The thing is, they'll just find
No
the
lavas
next
for the
best
first
thing
1
to
or
do
2
for the first
weeks.
6 hours. and
Yeah,
they'll
absolutely.
just
I mean,
do
that's
that,
part of the game, isn't it?
Right. Okay. I'll keep a note of that. Anyways, we've got the results back from that straw poll regarding the heavy and light ballista. 86% saying yes, do that. So that is again to throw a 60 defense requirement plus the completion of Monkey Madness 2 onto the heavy ballista. Ash, do you by any chance remember the combat requirements for Monkey Madness 2?
I'm afraid I do not. I assume that they were voting for Monkey Madness 2 rather than just Monkey Madness, like the straw poll says. So
if I recall correctly, we know the lowest combat level players ever completed it, and I believe it was in the 60s.
we also know that a player
nothing
cannot return
significant.
to that island without getting the XP rewards from Monkey Madness 1. And
Yeah.
that's probably quite significant in this context.
Yes, indeed.
People saying rip peers, I don't think so. The light ballista was, I believe the player who designed this idea pitched it at like 105 or just 100 accuracy, I believe. Currently with today's update, we brought it back up to 110. So it's really not that big of a difference for peers. As we were looking at the hit rate on peers with the accuracy, and it was like 97% on one defense every
Yeah.
time. Like you're gonna hit. This is really just a question for mains, and they're very vocal. So I'd be curious to see how this does in an actual poll. Hopefully we can get that out to you. And we'll also chase up the lava dragons into red dragons idea. Okay. Rasp says, can we get a right-click option on the NPC contact spell which lets you contact the last person you contacted?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
That's my favorite answer. We've got some bounty hunter suggestions next from Lol Pureful. So he says, it'd be really nice if he could have, or if we could have, a way to see if your target is actually carrying an emblem.
I like this list, the whole list about these ideas for Bounty Hunter.
I had a
them
look
up.
through it. It sounded generally possible, the whole thing, apart from maybe the bit about the arrow to say accurately where
Yeah.
your target was.
Yeah, I really like the just knowing if they have an emblem.
They sound like big improvements to the experience, and
Yeah.
One of them was pulled and failed already. That was getting any targets below 15 wild or something like that.
We
And
pulled that?
another one, I believe we did, didn't we?
Okay.
Might have done.
Double check that.
I'm amazed it failed, but carry on.
We've polled several thousand ideas in the past, so I think we're allowed to forget one or two.
God knows if I forget this, I'm
Or
gonna
make it up.
find out.
Yeah.
We have a record of what exactly we polled.
And then there was a cosmetic kit for the Obby Mall, which I don't know.
Well, they're harmless enough.
Yeah, I'll skim through these ideas real quick in case you guys want to voice your opinion. So here we are. A way to see if your target is actually carrying an emblem. A lot of people you fight say I have a tier 9. They don't. 5-minute penalty for dying to be shortened. A reason for that is obviously to not boost targets and emblems if we can if we're confident that's fine, then we can reduce that time. Make any tier mysterious emblem tradable. Currently, you can only trade the 1s, and there's kind of this black market for selling tier 7s and 10s,
That sounds
which
like
is
a
really
big change.
dodgy.
It's going to discourage you to start leveling up your emblem, isn't it? If you're just trying to make money from emblems, you're going to get tier 1, sell it. Tier 1, sell it,
people
rather
just
than
get
building
people just
it
get
up.
higher and let them drop them, and
Yeah.
then they can just get the emblem.
You already only sell
You
tier
just
1s.
sell the kill
Yeah.
basically, so it doesn't stop
okay.
it already. I think that's probably a good idea, to be honest.
Yeah, I like that one. Improve the target's whereabouts arrows. Again, Ash, I don't know if we can do that. And
The difficulty there is, well, in a 2D plane, it's easy. In fact, we do it already in the Clan Wars King of the Hill mode. Point an arrow in the direction you need to go. The tricky bit about the wilderness is it's not just pure 2D. The thing's got caves and it's got upstairs, and and some of it does not have what you call continuous space-time geometry. Like there's 2 ladders going down, and at the bottom you kind of end up in the opposite places because whoever was mapping it back in 2004 forgot that the map editor was back to front compared to RS Classics map editor. True story.
It's why like Alcabrid swapped and stuff, right? Versus the original maps that were drawn out on that.
Yeah, well,
known
Draenor Manor.
image of-
In Draenor Manor, the 2 stairs going down, one to the vampire, one to the levers. Yeah.
You walk into Relica Slayer caves, you walk in east, you come in west, and the rest of the caves here.
Yeah, they can't blame that on the conversion
Oh,
of
okay,
RS
that was
Classic,
just-
of course. They just did that wrong. But,
Well, I wanted to give them an excuse, but they just messed up.
Anyway, so the wilderness does not have what you call continuity. With enough manual exceptions, we can say, well, the player's in this zone, that's in this cave, so we'll point the arrow at the stairs going down to it. That is, of course, a fair bit more processing for the server to be thinking about all the special exceptions.
Could we just say if they're on a different level and tell them they're on a different level instead
We
of
could say
putting an arrow?
upstairs, downstairs, and no arrow at all.
But if they're on the same level, give them an arrow.
It's fine once we're on the same level. It's not what we call accurate. We're good to, 45 degrees or so. But frankly, you've got to walk around the whole wilderness and there's a lava lake in the way. 45 degrees will probably do you.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't a very good table.
Sorry, I think you had one last suggestion. That's the Wildstalker helmet. Cosmetic helmet that keeps track of all your kills in the wilderness. Change design based on how many kills you have, and can also display stuff like your
Kind of like the
KDR.
old dueling hat.
To be honest, when it was created, I assume that was what the developer was aiming for.
I'd like to be able to track kills everywhere. For
I
everything.
believe the KDR tracker attached to the Edgefield bank might be broken.
Is it?
Might be.
Well, a certain moderator coded it, so it wouldn't necessarily surprise me.
But the fact that it disregards anything in low-level wilderness is not as widely known as it might need to be.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah,
Oh, why does it do that?
The developer figured that it would avoid people just farming if they had to go, more than like 40 tiles into the
Who cares
wilderness.
if they found some meaningless statistic that's just for your own benefit?
So the original plan was to have it as high scores at some point, but that all went a bit peaked on when website stuff didn't happen.
Well, yes, 2014 we were all optimistic and thought we might get high scores on the website.
We will
we're
for
older and
hardcore
wiser
Iron Man
now.
though.
Right? So I feel like a lot of those ideas, probably see those making their way to a poll. Any more questions in the chat, guys? By all means, send them in. Modrock is grabbing them. We've done something for what faces, whatever. Punky says, can you please ensure that raids drop tables other than unique items are not particularly amazing? Think of God War style drop tables. This will ensure uniques retain value.
So basically wants to avoid alkables, I'm guessing.
Well, as I recall, a lot of the stuff that comes from God Wars is very high piles of coins, which may as well have been alcohols. I think what he's getting at is that we've added a lot of, say, limpwork routes in recent
I think
times.
the percentage value of an overall drop table coming from the standard loot rather than the uniques is generally the issue. Because let's say the God Wars table, for example, if you're going there for the standard loot and not the big loots, obviously that's going to just dramatically increase the number of the uniques coming in without any care for the price of it. While if the bulk of a drop table's value comes from that Bando's chestplate, for example, if the Bando's chestplate gets too low in value, you're going to stop doing Bandos. if the main value of the drop table normally is already good, it's not going to stop you from doing bandos.
Yeah.
So with raids, I want the most of the drop table value to come from the uniques.
Yeah, I agree with
And
that.
if you're not happy with the price of the uniques, you would stop doing it and they'd go up in price, essentially. And
Ideally,
it self-manages.
Because we're pretty sure people ain't going to be botting these anytime soon.
Hope so.
They can have some fun
Not
with that room I showed
not
you
your
this morning.
crabs.
Those jeweled crabs I tweeted yesterday. Yeah, the other devs have seen what they do now, and there will be some cussing, I'm thinking.
One guy replied to your tweet saying, "That's easy. I know what they do. You just do this." And you're like, "Wrong."
Yeah, it's like the same colour as the doors. No.
The door is green,
All right.
among
here.
other things.
Yuka says, "Can you please fix the Elysian Spirit Shield so that it works at the Corporal Beast?" He says the Ellie does not work against magic attacks from the Corp Beast. Claims it works for melee, but not magic.
Is it not a magic attack?
I think it's a magic attack that hits through prayer, and the proc used by that
So it doesn't
developer
use the magic proc, it uses the...
I think
other
it
one.
uses something different. Well, like I say, stuff that hits through prayer has generally been ignored, with a few exceptions where things were written manually.
Fair enough. Did the Divine and Ellie work on it originally?
I believe so.
Divine did.
Then,
Well, at least according to this post.
then I think the behaviour should match for us.
Can do. To be honest, I never felt the Ellie needed a buff from its current behaviour, because if the thing started losing popularity,
Yeah.
then I'd start looking at things we could do to make the Ellie better.
I think it's safe to say the Ellie's pretty good, so it's probably alright.
We could do it anyway, just for the sake of matching something else.
Panic
Panic
by
by
Ellie's.
Ellie, if you're rich.
I don't think many people are using an Elliot Corp, though, given you need your spear on.
Yeah, maybe Rangers at masses, I suppose.
Yeah, you can use range. That's true.
Lucas says, with lots of items planned to be introduced alongside the raids update, can we have the exact formula of how combat bonuses actually work? Says to clear up some debates regarding higher accuracy versus higher strength by giving us some formula.
You know, if there's a debate, that's something I don't have a problem with players continuing to debate and try out in the game in a controlled way themselves and experiment with, rather than knowing up front exactly what the best item is and knowing that everything else must therefore be junk. But it's not the end of the story.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I think half the fun is trying out the different builds to find out what's better. If you can sit through and just go through the numbers.
It's not a truly original thought, of course. This is exactly what Jagex's policy was that we stated as far back as 2005, when all developers were told, you do not, under any circumstances, publish this information. Policies can change, but I'd be slightly sorry to see the end of all investigation at player end.
Very true.
It's a good policy to have that. We should keep.
Ages ago, I used to do Free For All Corp, and it was like the biggest debate, either Void Melee or Bandos with Fighter Hat. And it was like, no, this is better, no, this is better, and I'm really curious. I'm going to look into it for myself, but I probably shouldn't share that, I suppose. Anyways, one for Mod Merchant. Any updates on new P-mods?
Kind of, yeah. The first batch of people are in process of going through the checks, I believe. So there should be, I think it is 98 people, which doesn't include me and Ronan.
And that's just the beginning of it, right?
And that is just the beginning. That is genuinely just the first batch of hopefully many to come. So yeah, that's in progress, and that should be, well, it's out of my hands now. They're going through the checks for player support, but it should be going soon.
As I think we said last week, the things we like are to see that your account has always been secure. Like if you're getting everything
Definitely.
hijacked all the time, or if you've got no authenticator, then frankly we don't want to go giving you extra access to stuff because you're just going to get hijacked and we'd end up with a rogue P-mod again. So we would expect to see that you've got the authenticator and a decent record of securing your stuff.
Yep.
And we'd also really prefer it if you weren't running around being a toxic bug abuser or something. Or
Yeah, it's
things
pretty
like
much
that.
definitely have two-step and any security measures you can have. Don't share your account and be a nice person,
Yeah.
which is much more polite than I was going to say.
So you don't actually look up and find these P-mods yourself, do you? Player support.
So when people
Or
tweet at me
exposed.
saying, so when people tweet at me saying, "Oh, check out my account, I'm well nice, give me Pmod," I don't do it that way. It's a player support. I don't actually know the intricacies of how it works. We have a system that flags up eligible accounts, and then we go through them and we have a look at them, check them out, make sure they aren't slipping the net.
It'll automatically look at a few different heuristics.
I mean, they get checked, but the initial picking out is actually, I believe, automated.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things which are definite yes/no answer. So, do they have two-step? We can immediately ignore everybody who doesn't have two-step. Have they been banned for anything? We can immediately ignore everybody who has. And we just work through this process until we come with a list, and that list is what you get. And we start going through it.
You get it. You can veto anything you want. Then you send it on to go through formal checks for your account history and that sort of thing. And
that's how it works. But yeah, like first batch is coming hopefully very soon.
Alternatively, you tweet Ronan.
Yeah, or just tweet Ronan and ask for PMOD. That
You
works
basically
as well.
guaranteed PMOD.
He loves it as well.
guaranteed,
He's always asked me to tell people.
The more times you do it, the more likely.
It's like
you
a
are to get
raffle.
it.
Every time you tweet him, you get entered into it.
Why does he ever talk to any of us, socially?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's almost like
He's too busy with the
he
people.
pretends he's got
Too
friends.
busy with the applications.
Who would win in a fight? The Bull or A Bull?
He'd find a way of losing it,
able?
I'm sure.
The ball, it sounded like. The ball or a ball.
I'm going to resume questions
That's probably wise.
once I find out where we are. Right, Frog says, can you make the new Sand Crab expansion island require 100% Piscarilius favor? It says Piscarilius favor takes the longest and provides the smallest benefit in comparison to the others.
It might be a little better since we buffed sand crabs this morning.
Should be able to get it more quickly, yeah. What did they want for 100%?
There's the new Sand Crab Island-y thing to add more Sand Crab slots. Can that be locked behind 100% Piscarilius favor?
Where it's currently mapped, probably not, but it doesn't mean we couldn't add a different one.
Have we gone off the coast of Hesidius or something?
Yeah, there was one there. But that doesn't mean we can't add another one towards the northeast.
Also, it's not unacceptable for, there's a Lovercane dwarf down there who uses the charcoal burning furnaces. Having a Piscarilius dude down there who's very happily raking it in for taking people back and forth to Crab Island or whatever it's going to be called.
I like the name.
Yeah. It's not unreasonable for a Piscarilius person to have popped out for a bit of business.
Certainly.
That sounds wrong.
Doing business on Crab Island.
Gonna say thing.
Sounds great.
All right.
You got cracks.
Let me grab one from the chat. Can Superior Slayer encounters give the Slayer XP if killed after the task completes as it spawned on task? That was a tricky one. Should we rock, paper, scissors?
I think he is.
Yeah. I suppose. I mean, if I can make it happen, yeah. It goes through the normal Slayer system, so I might have to try and see if I can add in some exceptions to make it happen. So, I'll say. No guarantees.
All right.
I can probably do it manually if I wanted to.
Cypher says, if Dragon Claws pass, would it be possible to add their old animation instead of the current one? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I think there's a work plan for the animation.
Good.
I was playing around with them earlier, and a few people were mentioning that animation isn't great.
The inventory model
Yeah.
will also change.
Yeah,
Mods Archie and no, that's Archie.
Alfie.
Actually, I was going to say Ghost and West, the artists we have. They've got about a year's more experience and practice using that animation tool than Alfie did when he made the first version. So while he did very nicely to get us any claws at all, Mod Ghosts had a bit more practice using that tool, and it's a weird tool with some nasty side effects.
Yes.
Alfie threw those together in about 20, well, maybe not 20 minutes, maybe he was lying, but he said he threw them together really quickly on like his
Also,
stairs.
the ones that were made for that, the ones that were
He's
made
very
for that
quick.
April Fool's event are fake. They're like a toy, so they don't work properly. That's the player-facing excuse.
Right.
The ones I've
that's
got
a
in game
yes.
work properly.
When you get real ones made of dragon.
Real dragon.
Penny says, with these new rewards coming from raids, when will we know what they're going to look like? Will Mod Ghost and West be doing a Let's Design Raids rewards stream?
I expect they will be.
I hope so.
That's gonna be
they love doing
serious,
them, so I'd
unfortunately.
imagine we'll see that again.
Unless we want to keep some stuff a surprise, I suppose, but they always like gathering feedback on stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm quite happy for them to sit
I'll
down
ask
with
them.
the players and design the stuff.
It does take some time.
Yeah, but they got a lot of viewers last time they did one.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to do.
It does take up time of their day, though. They very much go out of their way to do it, but I'm sure they'll be interested in it.
Okay. Ballista says, why didn't you change the stats of the raid's armor before polling again?
There was nothing really conclusive from the survey that we did. Like there was no clear course of action, and we'd committed to repolling them. I mean, essentially, I don't think I think the most popular option was don't change anything, and that was only about 40%.
I think it was like this many people wanted it higher, this many people
Yeah,
wanted it lower, this
it
many
was-
people wanted it left alone.
It was so even. Like I said, the highest majority, I believe, was about 40% on some of the questions, which just isn't enough for us to action anything.
There was the request to not make it degrade, but on the other hand, well, we do like a cash sink.
Yes, we do like cash sync, and also the options there again were mostly just split across lower costs, pretty evenly as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a really tough one for us to essentially reach a conclusion on, but basically there just wasn't anything actionable there.
40% is enough to win a general election, though.
Yeah,
How do you come back to that one?
well that's a flawed system. There we go. Oh, political.
Oh, stop, quick. You covered my next question regarding them being offered as non-degradable. So
Sorry. Carry on.
the sock cam, really. All right.
I'm in position the camera.
We'll grab another one from the chat then. Peek option on God War's dungeon doors to see if a boss has taken damage.
I think the answer we gave, in fact, for this one before was can't make it work 100% reliably because sometimes the creature cannot be found to look up its stats, but 99.9 times out of 100 it would probably be all right. To be honest, having the thing regenerate its health to full when the room is left empty for too long is not inconceivable. I mean, it may not go down so well for other reasons, but it would be a nice way of making sure that people come to an empty room and it's not in a funny state from the last occupant.
I mean, it would be nice, obviously, to give something like this for all bosses, but I can see why they want it for God Wars, and I'd happily do it for just God Wars because you don't want to waste the 40 kill count. Especially when you're doing it solo and you can only manage a few kills, perhaps. So.
Okay. Saws says, can the Cerdamon's sword spec attack be reduced to 60% or 50% instead of 100?
Not 73.
We could do that.
Oh, memes. I think, I don't know, Sarah Sword Pures are kind of good anyway. Well, I say kind of good, they're fun. Maybe if they were better, it would be more fun. I like the Sarah Sword as an item, so I'm kind of biased. But
The spec isn't fantastic. You're going to bring a different
Yeah.
spec. Sorry, let me turn my phone off.
so am I right in thinking the
Professional.
Blessed Sarah Sword, it doesn't have the magic component of the spec, does it?
The Sarah Sword does. The Blessed Sarah
The
Sword, I
Blessed
believe, does have
doesn't.
strength.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. It might be something to look at. It'd be kind of cool to improve the
Yeah,
special on those.
You're typically going to bring a different weapon as a spec attack anyways, but
Yeah.
if we made it better, something to consider. Right? Carl says, the examine text on Uncut Gems suggests it's worth more than the cut version, which is wrong. Can this be changed?
Can we have it dynamically update so if it ever does become true?
No, we can't.
I don't think it's a real question. Maybe it is.
It's become a hot topic lately.
Maybe your guy's just really poorly sort of like, he doesn't have much economic knowledge and he thinks that's the case.
Well, the thing is, the cutting a gem is generally some XP, and then you've got a cut gem and you want rid of it again. So, unless of
The
course
problem
we
is,
can
you'd
proceed with
think,
that
right?
silver jewellery thing.
You'd think if the cut gem was worth something to players that don't have the crafting requirement to cut it, then it would have a use and it would be worth cutting perhaps, but they don't.
I've got a thought. What we could say is this would be smaller cut.
Or yeah, it could have a higher alk value, so it could be worth more
I
cash.
suspect it actually does have a higher alk value and sells to a shop
Yeah.
for slightly
There
more.
we go.
If you want to do that.
This is more valuable
I love doing it.
to a general store.
This would be worth more if I alked it, cut.
This would be cut if cut.
Perfect, sorted.
All right. Yeah, we're going to go to the next one, I think. Fun Goblin says, can we have the ability to see who is dead on the hardcore Iron Man high scores?
Yes.
You're going to have that, aren't you?
Yeah.
They are going to have that.
I don't think we told them that before, so yeah.
I believe they saw it in the.
In the
in
screenshot
some
you can see
photos,
people are struck through,
Yeah.
and those are
Okay.
the dead ends.
In that
I think we're
case,
just going for a
it's on
skull
our
and
website.
crossbones.
Those are people that had a boo boo.
Oh, okay.
Had a
what?
boo-boo.
A boo boo.
Oh, a boo-boo.
Where are we at here? Datboy says, can we have a list of all places that will offer safe death for hardcore Ironman? Just to make sure we don't accidentally get reset to normal Ironman.
We should have an attempt at putting it together. I'd be nervous about making it.
Yeah.
I'd be nervous about
100%
missing
accurate.
something.
Wait until someone else finds out for you.
Yeah.
We can list places that we know to be safe deaths.
That's probably safe.
If we miss any due to them being programmed in a non-standard way, and hardcore Ironmen avoid them for fear of a dangerous death, well, they've not lost anything other than access to that area.
No, absolutely. I think
So
you're right.
we can list places that we know are safe, and if players later discover another one was safe, then we say sorry and amend the list. I think that would be safe.
I think that,
I think that
makes
sounds
sense,
like
yeah.
the best idea, and realistically, they're going to figure it all out pretty
I've
quickly.
probably figured it all out already, so frankly.
Yeah.
There's a few that are a bit obscure, like the recruitment drive. You die in there, you respawn in Lumbridge, and you don't know whether you lost your stuff or not because you had to bank it all before you went in. Now, that is in fact a dangerous death. It's just not all that dangerous because you didn't take anything in, but it would count as a dangerous death for hardcore Ironmen. Also, what the heck you died of in there is another question entirely.
Does recruitment drive... You don't have to die for the quest, do you? So
No, and in Fremnic Trials, when it says you fought to the death against Kostu the Deathless, if he kills you against his first 3 forms, then you died for real and you've lost your status. If you get to the fight to the death and you go down on one knee and then wake up upstairs, that wasn't a death at all, it just played half the animation. So that's not a death.
They want to crack the clue hint, Matt.
do they? If you tweet Ronan, he'll give you one.
Come on, we have to think of something better than this.
Well, tell you what, we're moving a whole lot of scenery around for the Zeah rework, and they get to hope that it hasn't obscured the place where you were meant to have dug.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Let's hope that.
Can you actually remember where you put it anyway?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
I do still have the solution. I showed the solution to Jed and Ronan.
Yeah, that was pretty
Was you
interesting.
there, were you there as
Yeah,
well?
I was there.
Yeah, so to Jed, Ronan and
was
Connor
there.
and Chris.
I was there.
And anyone else. I shared, I publicly showed the solution to everybody who is anywhere. And
The solution or how to solve it?
how to solve it.
I said I don't want to know because if someone finds it, you're going to be like, who'd you tell?
Yeah, Chris did that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
I almost
they all looked at it
understood.
and went,
Share it
"Oh,
with me."
that's easy." I didn't know. I'll show you if you like. Don't you feel sad or anything?
I
It's
feel
all right.
missed out. I developed
Dangerous
it.
knowledge.
But yeah, and they all said, "Oh, is it that easy?" And
Oh, that's a hint in itself.
so they were like, "Oh, I feel much better
It's
now." Actually, no,
easy.
it can be solved.
I don't think that's a hint.
It's almost an insult, actually, because
Give it
people
a
spend
hint.
a
It
lot
was
of time.
deliberately
You
said
can't
in
say
that
it's
way.
easy.
Yes, yeah. So it can be done. Somebody will do it one day. I'm hoping that it takes at least 12 months because I have something special I want to do after 12 months of it not being found.
When is the 12 months on?
May time did we do it?
Itch.
Yeah, something like that.
Somewhere around there.
So maybe summer next year I want to do something special and yeah, have a bit of fun.
Crack the clue 2 next year.
Yeah, crack the clue too. Yeah.
Is it true that it secretly moves a tile every day that it's not found?
It only moves a tile when somebody actually digs in the space where it needs to be picked up from.
Okay. We'll try to get through
longest
maybe
ruse.
1 or 2 more questions, I think. Heineken says, last week you talked about the idea of a new skilling boss, potentially one to come with construction. Are you open to a PDC with this? Player design competition.
Always open to a PDC with anything. Yeah.
Send across your ideas. I mean, we were talking earlier about some sort of just complete
Do you wanna pitch
blank
your
canvas,
idea?
but you're defending a town, and in the long distance there's an army of trolls coming towards it, or just
Hang on.
one big monster.
sounds familiar, that does.
And
It's like a troll invasion.
no. And you're mining and smithing cannonballs, launching them in cannons, knocking the troll down. You've got people running out building barricades that slow it down. And if it makes it to the town, you all die. And you fail the kill as such.
I was
If it
watching
takes
this,
enough damage or runs out of energy first and collapses, you can go and loot it and pick up some loot.
My son was
Very
watching
much
something
so.
the
And you get
other
XP
day
as you
which was similar. Had really big people in it. I think it was an
Attack on
anime
Titan.
type thing, and it had really
Wow.
big people that was climbing into a town and
Yeah, it's Attack
killing
on
everybody.
Titan.
Was it?
Don't get Chris started on that.
Is it good?
It's all right.
That means no then. Yeah,
Weird
yeah.
rewatch, yeah.
You know, there was this idea for a minigame years back, like early 06, I think, where there'd be knights on one side trying to attack the fortress, and you'd be helping the knights on the inside defend the fortress. So you'd be repairing walls as they were knocked down, you'd be putting out fires as they were lit, because they get lit, and you'd be trying to heal the people on the inside, and defenders, and shoot the attackers on the outside. And the idea kind of got adjusted and adjusted and adjusted, and eventually it was released as pest control. So that's where this came from in the first place. It's just a very, very simplified form of that.
I love the idea of it though. It sounds really cool. I like the idea of smithing the cannonballs, firing the cannons.
Yeah,
It's pretty
we
lit.
could
I
that
do
sort of
like
thing. I mean, you can link in a few skills, and
Really? You say it's pretty lit.
it's a fun way
It
to
sounds
use these
lit,
skills.
yeah.
And
Yeah, it sounds great, honestly. I really like the idea.
It does sound. Some people mentioned Castle Wars in the chat, and it does sound like a good addition to Castle Wars and a different sort of Castle Wars game
Yeah,
mode
yeah.
type thing, where you can actually make siege
Yeah.
weapons as well on the battlefield. So you can build great ballistas or proper ballistas, not the shooty hand ones, proper ones.
Well,
which
he
go on
knows,
the
don't
ground.
tell him about proper
Yeah, so you
ballistas,
know all
come
this
on.
already, don't you, Doctor?
also, I mean, in terms of a skilling boss, in terms of a skilling boss, if there's a cutthroat, like you die or don't die, it takes away the need to have a HP level being beneficial in
Yeah.
any way. So you either fail or succeed is a good way to do that in terms of a skilling boss, I think.
I do like the abilities of fail.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the type of, like, I love that sort of content, so.
If someone wants to expand on this idea, maybe on Reddit, we can propose it next week, potentially.
Yeah, see what
But,
people have to say.
We've got a fair amount of really
Funny,
good ideas.
PVC didn't do too well in the priority survey of what people like us to spend the time on, but we're very happy to do them if you've got a good one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's nothing more special, I think, than seeing a player work to get an idea come up and then actually makes it into game and how that person must feel.
There's the odd time where we
time
just
it's
see a
quite
suggestion, we're all just like, that's really good.
This time
we
it was
want to do
Kieran's
it.
idea. How does
Well,
it
we
feel?
did-
But like the silver jewellery idea, that was a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're considering doing that. So
So are we no longer considering doing it if we're doing this instead, or are we...
I wasn't suggesting we do this
it's a very
right
big
now,
list.
Yeah.
but
All right.
I think doing something along those lines at some point seems like a cool thing to do.
Okay. That being said, Last Man Standing High Stakes Weekend goes live tomorrow, 1 p.m. GMT.
You're relentless. LMS, aren't you?
All right. Aside from that, guys, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.